Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's Midday Western U.S. Regional Forecast video brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, I want to do a quick rewind. I didn't get a chance to do this in the forecast video I put out on Monday, so we'll make sure we do it here. But I want to do a quick rewind to the weekend where we saw a very, very vigorous shortwave that moved through parts of the Pacific Northwest. We talked about at the end of last week producing the potential for quite a bit of severe weather, and we certainly had that. And they're looking here at a map of lightning over the weekend. 500,000 strikes of lightning here on this particular image, and it was quite active in terms of severe weather. Now take a look at this. This was from Rob Galen here, or Gallion. He posted this from parts of Oregon. This was actually a hemp field in Oregon who was just hit by some of those thunderstorms that went through. And you can see the hail damage here. That's not snow, that is hail. He'll actually put his hand down there so you can see it. There's a lot of marble-sized hail just destroying his crop. So this is very untimely for this time of year. Some locations receiving well over an inch of rainfall, and then a bunch of locations like you see here with hail damage. In addition to that, an enormous amount of lightning and some very, very strong winds out of this particular system. And this is quite rare for this time of year across parts of the Pacific Northwest, which is normally dry. Now, if we just step back and we think about how we've gotten to this point, I pulled out some maps. I put in some recent videos here, especially my long-range video, looking at the difference between 2018 and 2019. And some of the bigger differences here are over Greenland and over Alaska. So you can see the differences here from a year ago. And that is what's helped a lot of the summer feature broader troughing. A lot of the spring and summer feature broader troughing over the western part of the United States. So that brings me to these maps, which show the statewide average temperature ranks for July over here in 2019 on the left, and then February through July, so the last 6 months. And overall, when we just paint the broader picture here, we can see that we've been very close to average. And that's quite a difference from what we've had recently. For example, in 2019, which is up there on the left, look at the near average temperatures throughout much of the west versus 2018, which is the upper right, or 17, which is down here in the lower left. In fact, the last time I saw a summer that looked something like this was back in 2016, although that one was much warmer than average the farther south you go. So it's important to see these year-on-year differences in what 2019 looks like compared to the recent past. Now, as we begin the month of August here, what we're looking at is the departure from normal in terms of mean temperature. So we're looking here at anomalies. And even though at times we've had a couple of cooler waves, the Northwest has been on the whole a degree or two warmer than average, with California sitting right smack dab on average. Due to that bigger ridge that's sat right here, we have had parts of the Intermountain West, the Four Corners states, especially New Mexico and Western Texas, they're much above average in terms of temperatures just to start off the month. But where are we going? Well, certainly our concerns are building here for heat in parts of the desert Southwest and getting into the Central Valley of California. We've got high temperatures there and also very high temperatures over here comparatively for parts of the Mid-South. Now, when we think about where this pattern's going that's going to get us there, I want to show you what the upper level flow of the atmosphere looks like. So look at how stagnant this is. We've just got this high over low type flow, very zonal flow across the United States. We've got tropical systems messing with the overall flow of the atmosphere. And when we put all that together, this is a time period of lower predictability. It's a time period where the stagnant, blocked up flow across Alaska and the Gulf of Alaska will be influencing not only the Northwest, but California. And if you sit to the south of the jet stream here, the heat is going to be on. And we're going to watch this area for the development of ridges. So let's compare the two regions here in the west, the Northwest and the Southwest. So first of all, we can see that through the next 5 days, looking at aggregate, kind of that's the dividing line. See it right into there where we're much cooler than average here to the north and much hotter than average here to the south. As we press out to days 5 through 10, that's the map that's over here on the left, we do overall see the weaker flow of our jet stream here. On Monday, we had forecast this to be a much deeper trough, but now we're starting to see much broader ridges actually in two different places here across North America, and it's limiting the potential for this trough to dig, bringing in much more unsettled weather here to Canadian prairies and to the Northwest. What it's going to do is keep the heat on in the Southwest. And even as I take you all the way out to day 15 here, so this is day 10 through 15, excuse me, look at the warmth that is still stuck across the western part of the United States. So this could be kind of breaking a bit of a summer trend we've had so far, where we've seen on average much closer to normal temperatures than we have had, let's just say, extreme sustained heat. We've had some hot days, but it's certainly not been nothing where it lasts for a month, and that has been a big difference. By the way, at the end of this video, I'm going to give you a quick update on what we're seeing, not only just the next 15 days, but we're going to go ahead and stretch this out for 2 more weeks after that to show you what I'll be talking about in the long-range forecast. But I want to get into some of the details first here. This is the high temperatures forecast for California, which was our region that we do expect to stay above average on temperatures for a while. And what we're looking at here is the National Digital Forecast Database picking up on these triple-digit temperatures throughout much of the Central Valley and in the 105 to 115 range as you get down there into the desert. So very, very hot day on Tuesday. Let's play this one out and see how things progress into Wednesday. So Wednesday, heat stays on. This is why we have the heat warnings out, 103 to 106 degrees across a large section of the Central Valley of California. So very, very warm as that pattern stagnates in the Gulf of Alaska. Thursday, much of the same. We start to get some reprieve from the heat by the time we get into Friday, but this is still in the San Joaquin Valley, 100 to 105 degrees here. Cooling off in the Sacramento Valley first, and then potentially for the weekend settling back into slightly cooler than average weather here with temperatures in the upper 80s and lower 90s. So in the near term, we are certainly watching for some high heat. And you can see that as I progress you out to next Monday, things hopefully going back a little bit closer to average. In the Pacific Northwest, this is very much spot on average, maybe at times slightly cooler than average, but not by too much. So we see high temperatures here, Columbia Basin in the upper 80s, lower 90s, progressing through. Now we're talking maybe just a little bit warmer than average, but watch, after this, we go right back into those 80s, 70s. This is very typical for this time of year in parts of the Pacific Northwest. So that's why you just saw the slight cool bias there with the heat really staying on in the south. Okay, in terms of precipitation, you know, I had been watching very carefully a system that was supposed to come through next weekend and through here. But since then, the recurvature of a couple of typhoons in the Pacific, plus combine that with some weak flow in the Gulf of Alaska, well, the latest model runs have taken that out of the forecast. And I'm just going to have to watch it, forecast model after forecast model, as they come out to see if we continue to stay on the drier side of things, or if we, go back over toward a potentially wetter pattern for the Pacific Northwest. Just kind of playing this out. I don't have to pause anything here. You can just see that really we are void of any sort of system all the way out to next Wednesday here, sweeping through parts of the Pacific Northwest, bringing any chance of rainfall at all. Okay, so putting that all together, I've got you through the next week looking at precipitation anomalies. And what I want to do here is I'm going to add the following week. So this is week 1 here, and this is adding in week 2. And the thing I'm concerned about here is that we saw a late arrival of the monsoon. Remember, we talked about that a lot. And then we saw, as it came, it really was focused over here, which means we've had a lot of parts of Arizona, Utah, parts of the desert in Southern California, and then Nevada here missing out on a lot of the monsoonal moisture. And what I've got in the forecast here is a complete weakening of that monsoon. So to show you what I mean, this is looking at the last 30 days % of normal. While we have had a couple of local very heavy rainfall events, you can see those dark blue blobs in there. Much of this region has been in deficit, whereas the main track has been on this side of the Continental Divide, and there in parts of New Mexico going up into Colorado. So major differences here based upon the upper level flow, and that has been primarily due to the fact that big ridge has been sitting and spinning in this area, drawing the moisture up on this side, not so much on this side. So our monsoon seems to be a bit late in arrival, and just to kind of show you, the National Weather Service out of Phoenix is keeping a close eye on this as well. They're tracking lightning as a good indicator. Looked over here. This is 2019. This is the number of lightning strikes counted between June 15 and August 10th. Now, the black bars are where we normally should be in Arizona. When you add in what we should get all the way by September 30th, you get the red bar on top. So this has been a pretty, boring year. Takes us back to what we saw here in the early 90s. This was very characteristic of the early 90s pattern across this region. So just maybe something to be thinking about there. Now, there is one benefit, though, and that is this. This is the latest drought monitor. We'll get a brand new one of these on Thursday. I just want to show you the difference between now, which is what you're looking at here, and a year ago. So certainly across the 4 corner states in California, we are in much better shape now. Watch it again. than we are a year ago when we compare the drought monitors. So yes, there's been a delay in that monsoonal precipitation, but we didn't go into this with extreme drought like we did a year ago. To finish this up, I just want to take you out a little bit farther here. Over on the left, I now have through the end of August what we're looking at in terms of temperature anomalies. And we can see the warmth that is hanging on here across the western United States. So this is in the European ensemble going all the way out to the first week of September. And I want to reiterate something that we talked about in the last long-range video, and that is the very warm conditions we still have in the North Pacific, and the fact that our sea ice is at a minimum. And I'm going to bring this up again in my long-range forecast tomorrow, but I want to give you a preview. 2019, looking at sea ice extent here, as we move toward the minimum, it appears as though we're going to be getting down here very close to a record minimum of sea ice. And that's very important to the amplitude of the jet stream pattern out west. And historically, whenever we have, low sea ice concentration and very warm ocean temperatures here in the North Pacific, if I pull off the years that have had that, there's a couple of important differences, but some important similarities. The differences are typically the positive phase of the PDO, which is here, I'll put a plus in it, is typically well correlated with the positive phase of ENSO, or El Nino. We don't have that this year. We just have the warm blob in the North Pacific, but still those years tended to favor warmer western United States temperatures as we progress into September and October. So I just want to bring this up again because it's something I think we're going to be watching for the next couple of weeks, and just kind of a quick, a primer on what I'm going to be addressing again in tomorrow's long-range forecast. Okay, with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up right here. We at Nutrien Ag Solutions thank you for your attention. Hope you look forward to our weather content coming out each day at my.nutrienagsolutions.com. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.